Thank y'all for hanging in there, and I hope y'all have enjoyed Slice Tech this whole week. Are y'all exhausted? Yay!
Woohoo!
Well, thank y'all so much. So today, our goal right here with all of us is to show you the importance of why you need mentoring at any age, where you are coming out of college or you are in the executive level, if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, especially nowadays. Having a mentor is going to make a big difference. So, would love to ask you to go ahead. Let's go to the next slide and see if they would like to download. If y'all would please scan that, your QR code for the Slido, because we want you to ask us some questions. Y'all just turned that up, didn't you? Okay. We want y'all to ask us some questions at the end. And right now, if you would please put in the first word on your Slido. What's the first word you think of when you hear the word mentoring? We've already prompted one up there for you. It should be popping up. Yep. Help. Help.
Help.
Love that. Networking, collaboration, guidance, empowering, mentee, guidance, help, support, accessibility. I love this. All of those are right. Growth, counsel, questions. I love that. The biggest one is support and help, guidance. That is what mentoring is. And that's what we're going to be talking about with all of y'all today. So, make sure I got everything here. The next thing I'd like to ask you, it should be in your Slido. Are you looking for a mentor? Yes or no? Thank you. Put it in that Slido. Yes. Thank you. Y'all are the right audience then, because this is exactly what we're wanting you to be looking at. Forbes did a survey and they found that 87% of the people who were doing mentoring and mentee groups, they were more engaged, they were more productive, and they felt more self-confident. And that just comes to that makes sense. But this next statistic is so awesome that I wanted to share with you. So there was another study that they did, and this is a game changer. They have found out that people who had a mentor were promoted 5 times more than those who are not. You think about that, 5 times more. That's bigger than your degree. That's bigger than your skill set. That's bigger than where you went to college or any of those things. Having a mentor, someone that's in your corner, helping you to understand how to navigate things you didn't even know you were supposed to navigate. Someone that's going to be there for you when you're not in the room and they're mentioning your name, saying, you want this person. And those are the questions that we're going to address today. And this panel is amazing. And I am going to let each one of you introduce yourself as I call on you. And we're going to start off talking about the importance of having a mentor in the way. And Laura, we're going to start with you. Make sure I get this over here. What is the difference between having a mentor, a sponsor, and a coach? Because you're going to need all three, but today we're going to talk about mentoring specifically. Laura, would you please address that and introduce yourself?
So hi, I'm Lora Vaughn. I am running my own cybersecurity consulting practice now, but I have benefited over time from having both mentors and sponsors and some coaches along the way. But really, mentors are there to give you advice and guidance and some support. I think all the words that popped up on there is pretty accurate. But a coach, anyone here have a coach? Usually a coach is someone that you've engaged to guide you and give you advice. You're usually paying for it. That's not something that is typically going to come free. You may have a manager or a boss who coaches you some, but in the context of this, a coach is generally a paid professional that is helping you in your career. I've used those as well. And then there's the sponsor. The sponsor is probably the most important, the most critical. And it's one that is harder because you can't just ask for that. A sponsor is someone who is going into rooms that you're not in saying your name. It's the person who is going and saying, hey, Laura should be considered for this particular leadership development program. It's the person who is advocating for you even when you don't know they're there. And that's the relationship you earn.
Yeah, thank you. And it is true about all of that. Looking for all three of those is going to make a difference. It's like you're such a multifaceted creature. So you need people helping you from different aspects, looking at you in different ways, helping you to refine who you are and what you're looking for. So, in the world of mentoring and coaching, and as a sponsor, Tambra, I was going to ask you, when we're looking at the way the world is actually going on right now, how do you handle having as a female having a mentor who is a male, and how does gender roles play into that? And do you have any tips for that?
I definitely do think gender roles have a big part of that mentorship, especially when it comes to age. You may have a younger woman that has a male mentor, and when it comes to mentorship, honesty is a very big deal on the list. So maybe that person may have a crush or may feel intimidated because this person is a male and, want to say the right things or may end up turning into a little crush. So, we have to be realistic across the board when it comes to mentorship. In my opinion, yes, those male gender roles, male and female roles does play a part. I can tell you this, like I said, it depends on age. At one point, I did have a mentor who was a young football player. I did not, I'm into sports, but I'm not heavy into sports. But just being able to check in with that person every day and realizing he was much younger, but to me, I don't think he really took the importance of mentorship really well because it was like, okay, this was just pretty much an assignment from an organization that I'm in, and I'm just kind of going through the motion to get it. So, just being able to establish those relationships and then looking at what that can turn into when it comes to those male and female relationships. Now, that's just my experience, but that's what I feel. So I may be wrong, but every situation is different. But that's something you definitely want to look at when you're getting set up with the mentor. Do you prefer a woman or do you prefer a male? That age has a big deal when it comes to experience and then maturity level.
Absolutely. What about, okay, and I do want to, how many of y'all have already had mentors that were of the opposite sex? And did y'all, to me, you need both. As a woman, I need men and women as role models. And I feel like that we've through momentum, we advocate for both because you need both perspectives. And once again, you need to know how to handle yourself in every situation. But I like what you said, being honest, being upfront, setting the boundaries up front when you're in situations like that. Have either one of y'all ever faced any of that before?
I'd say maybe one thing to add is, keeping it all into perspective of what are you there for? What are they there for? What is that relationship set out to gain, achieve? And if any situations ever become uncomfortable or you're recognizing, okay, this is probably not the direction or the relationship that needs to keep going, being wise enough and discerned enough to make that call. But 100% agree that the diversity of mentoring relationships, having both male and female, are pivotal for the way that we are thinking, the way that we're managing and understanding different concepts or different ways within the business that need to be adapted to female minds, male minds think very differently, but having again that diversity that you are able to cultivate then whatever action that you're wanting to take from it makes you soar high and far above those that may not have experienced or maybe have those relationships that they can depend on.
Laura, how about you?
Having been a woman in a male dominated industry, I just have always known and expected that any guidance I was going to get was statistically speaking, going to be coming from a man. So, if you're a woman and you're not comfortable in those one-on-one relationships, it's something you have to work on to be able to be comfortable in that scenario. And there have been times in my career when I've had some of those relationships with men that would be uneasy. They'd be like, hey, leave the door open, or I don't want things to look a certain way. And it's understandable, especially in Southern culture, it's more prominent. In other areas I've lived, it was not as big of a deal. But reality is you have to be willing to enter into some of these relationships and develop relationships with people of the opposite sex. Go figure.
So I'm going to come back to you, Lindsay. So tell us a time when a pivotal moment where a mentor has done something that's helped and impacted your life.
And I didn't introduce myself. So, Lindsay Mitchum, program manager at Cisco, the IT company, not the food company. Sorry, there was a little joker chatting earlier. Okay. Yes, pivotal moment. This had to have been, I think, about 8 years ago. Was finishing up grad school with my MBA, and I had been in healthcare for majority of my career at that point. I always say I grew up in healthcare, and when I was going through my schooling, kept sitting there thinking, there's got to be more than just health IT. There's got to be more than healthcare. Well, obviously there is, but the way that I had just grown up in my career and had my trajectory of, being promoted very quickly, moving up into these different positions, and the amount of relationships and support that I had within the organization, I was very comfortable and I was very secure in what I was doing. And grad school just flipped my mindset, just took me into a whole nother direction that I never even expected. And my mentor at that time, which I was very blessed, was also my leader. And for many months, I was sitting here thinking, what am I going to do? Oh my gosh, why am I thinking like this? This cannot be what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to senior manager, director, VP, whatever it was that I was looking for. I have it all in my pathway, and this is perfect. And I don't know if I recommend this to everybody, but I went to her about 6 months before I was almost done with grad school. And I said, I need to look for another job. And first she looks at me and she's like, wait, what? Because she's my leader at this time. And I was like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. It's time for me to move on. And she, the conversations that we had then over the next several months until I got my next role was so incredibly powerful for me, because now that's a lot of what I use to pay it forward, where our conversations of this industry, this type of organization, I have no idea what I'm doing over there. She spoke to me in terms of what she knew my strengths were, what she knew my weaknesses were, what she knew of me in terms of different situations or how different firms would function. And yes, that is a mentor. We had built a relationship for many years at that point. But her being able to understand where I was coming from and where I was going, or where I wanted to try to go, and for her to speak that truth and have those candid conversations about where she thought I could thrive and perform at my best, that for me was pivotal. I could not have done the jump that I did without her and her support, her help, her guidance, all of those words that y'all put up there. She's like, check, 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 check. But those are the individuals that you want to find. Those are the individuals that you need to be able to pour into you. And if those of you who have had that pouring into and experienced that, that's where we ask for mentors to come into play, because so many people need to have this type of support, not only in work but life as well. So I'd say that was one of the biggest moments that stands out.
That's a blessing too, that you had someone that had that kind of leadership that wanted you to succeed, even if it meant you weren't going to stay with their company. That's very impressive. And as a mentor, um, As a mentor, you think that when y'all hear about mentees and mentors, a lot of people think, okay, well, the mentee's going to come in, the mentor's going to do all the teaching. And Tambra, I'd love for you to share with us how does that go? When you're the mentor, is it all just one way, or is it more reciprocal than what people would think?
You know, I have a wonderful relationship with one of my mentees who actually is here today. So, thank you for coming. But I mean, it definitely goes both ways. They didn't intend to be that way, but being able to bounce ideas off of each other, we went into this partnership as okay, I'm going to make sure she gets where she needs to go. And then I started seeing something special in here in her. And then we would meet up for lunch and then just kind of pour into each other. So it can happen like that. It may not happen intentionally, but your relationship can definitely prosper, especially depending on your personalities. And that's just one example, but that is something that's I'm taking away with me when it comes to this mentorship because being able to learn the personality of the person that you're working with and pouring into, they have something to offer to you also. And just being able to use that and move forward, it can definitely be life changing for the mentor.
I've seen that over and over again. I get to do the mentoring program with Momentum, and I see that all the time where the mentors will come back and say they've gotten just as much, if not more, out of the sessions than the mentee because until you have to sit down with somebody and just relax and then just listen to them, you start realizing how smart their perspective is. You start realizing they see the world in a different way, especially when they're in a different generation. And it does help bridge the gap, and it does help you think more clearly about and more positively about the next generation that is coming up, that is very intelligent, and they do have big goals and big hearts, as is a lot of what I've seen. That if you don't want if you don't sit down and take time to get to know them, it's easy to judge. It's always easy to judge until you get to know somebody. Lindsay, I was going to ask, let you handle this one. So, what life skills do you feel like helped you the most, or that you learned the most from the mentoring sessions? Oh, and
Well, that's
let me just add that things that you didn't learn in college, you didn't read them in a book. You learned them in mentoring sessions.
well a lot. How much time do we have? No. Um, as I was sitting there thinking about this question, a big one was conflict strategy, that or conflict management. Huge one, because that one I think today we all have opportunity to really handle conflict well and address it very candidly, but very from a very wholesome place. But I also think, and as I'm looking, okay, so looks like we have more mature individuals in the crowd. Um, the It's rest and reflection. And as I had mentioned in the last answer was, your career can take off and you just go, 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 go. Okay, it's the next position, it's the next um, what degree, it's the next certification, and you're constantly pushing yourself and telling yourself that you have to go faster, you have to go harder. And I actually had a mentor who I loved this guy, still love him, talk all the time. But he told me, you need to go as hard as you can, as fast as you can, and take all the good ones with you. And for a while, I listened to that and I thought, yeah, I do. And I've got to go do it and I've got to do it now. Then guess what smacked me real hard in the face? Life. And life said, no, actually, you need to pause. You need to take a breath and you need to make sure that some of the things and some of your priorities that you're putting at the forefront are really what is true to you. And that's actually kind of been in where I've been with Cisco the past 6 years, 6.5 years. Um, Life has shown me, careers have shown me that our trajectory that with always thought was very linear and very, straight up diagonal. It's actually not that. But it threw me for such a loop. And I really had to go into a period of rest and reflection to understand this is life. And it's okay that I, am not getting that next position and that next thing and in this perfect order, that it's actually going in all of this
Like the
area.
jungle gym.
Yeah, but it's so beautiful and it's so lovely, and how boring, which many of you may have that, and that's great. I'm not saying that that's not that cannot that may not be the way it's supposed to be, but to know that in the periods where you're not finding or getting the things that you're looking for, it is most likely because life is just saying not yet or not now. And my mentor, even though, a lot of life lessons, but that one, even though his words were quite the opposite, what I learned from that of rest and reflection being something that is positive and okay is something that I just cherish tremendously. So,
I like that. Thank you for sharing that. So as we're headed into the very last thought here, if you have any questions that you want to be thinking of, we would love to hear from you in just a minute when we finish up. So I want to ask Laura, we're in a tech world. AI is driving everything very differently now. So why wouldn't I just go to Claude or to Gemini and say, hey, I got an issue. Help me with this. Why would I want to have a human helping me over AI?
I mean, I love Claude. We have a running joke in my house that Claude's my boyfriend. I used to spend a lot of time talking to Claude in my days, but Claude's not a person. And if you've ever used, I've tailored mine so he's not quite so much of a butt kisser, but AI will lie to you. AI makes things up. Oh, that's a great idea. No, a terrible idea. That sounds amazing. You're full of it. So, realistically speaking, AI is telling us what we want to hear. And we're seeing in some of the studies and things that are happening now that AI is causing people to go further into delusions and other things. So we can't trust AI to be our coach necessarily, especially not our mentor. AI can help us see some possibilities, help us tune some writing, maybe help us role play a conversation. There's AI platforms to help us with interview prep and practice. Those are all great things that maybe you don't get from a mentor, but it's still not a person that has a relationship and has that outside perspective, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Have any of y'all ever been tempted? And this is not a question on here for them. Have y'all ever been tempted to say, I am peopled out, I've had a long day, and just lean on the AI as far as like either relationship building or things like that, of like, hey, I've got an issue here. Have y'all ever done that?
I have, honestly.
I have.
Yeah.
I didn't lean into it, but I did ask because I wanted to say, I said, hey,
Yeah.
be my counselor. What would I
Yes.
do?
Yes. What would I say? What is a soft way to say or a
Yeah.
soft way to respond without ruining a professional relationship? Even when it comes to creating an email, how do I respond to this, with a better tone? So, yeah, I've leaned into AI, but AI is not my all when it comes to mentoring.
When I've been really angry and I do that initial email that I'm going to delete anyway, I might have
It's good.
given it to Claude and said, hey, make me not sound like a B word right now. Does a pretty good job.
So, do any of you have any questions for us about mentoring? Yes, ma'am. Mm. So, how do you know when you're ready to be a mentor? And I'm going to start this off because this is something I coach everyone with when they come saying, I'm not ready to be a mentor. I'm not in the C-suite or I haven't done this. I'm like, no, wherever you are at and what knowledge you have, you are ready to mentor someone else. Someone is always a step behind you and someone's always a step ahead of you. So you're always ready to be a mentor. So be a good one and be ready, be thoughtful, um, listen well, and don't be aware that whatever advice you give, they're gonna take that advice. Like her mentor said, hit it hard, take everybody with you, and you did. And it wasn't a bad advice. It just to me it wasn't complete. It was a partial mentoring thought. So what about y'all? What do y'all think?
I think if you're asking yourself that question and you're recognizing that you even have those thoughts, you're ready.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I got nothing to add.
Did anyone else? I saw another hand. Yes, ma'am.
Can I'm gonna throw a little bit of a kink on that one. Don't just reach out. True story. I wrote a whole blog about this because I had some person I'd never met cold DM me in LinkedIn. Will you be my mentor? I'm desperate. And then when I said, hey, cool, I don't really know you. Here's some great resources I'd encourage you to look into. They came back, um, doubled down and misspelled a bunch of things. I went, oh, bless your heart. So when you're asking, build relationship. So things like meeting someone immediately and going, hey, will you be my mentor? That's that's tough. In a context of an event like this, asking someone is much more palatable. Hey, I would love to have some time to ask you about a particular thing. Make it easy for them to say yes. That if someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I saw that you transitioned into running your own business after being in leadership. I'd love to pick your brain on how you did it. Sure, glad to help. Happy to have a conversation. If they say, hey, I could use some help. What do you need? The more specific you can be to make that easy yes, the more likely you are to get a response. And working within people you know that you have relationships with, or even if you're connected, like those second and third, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of thing. If someone can introduce you, even better.
One thing to add too is I would say because your mentor today doesn't have time, really making sure that you're having that conversation, once that relationship or interaction has kind of completed, that you're both knowing what you're going to get out of this relationship and that you are the mentee, they are the mentor or whatever, but here is the ongoing kind of relationship that we will have. That's a big one where I think a lot of people don't necessarily, I want to say, like, agree on what this relationship will be like. And you end up having individuals who don't have enough time or they don't get what they were really hoping to get out of it. And you just want to mitigate that and be open up front. And if you don't agree, it's okay to not have that person as a mentor because there's another one coming behind them. Then, Darla, do you have anything of how to get
Yeah.
involved with
I know
momentum?
a great place where you can go. It's what I do. So at Momentum Leaders, and we put that up here, we have a mentoring program that have 900 women in it right now on mentor side and mentee side. It's a 6-month commitment. It is a formal one. We like to do it that way so it's very organized and you have a beginning and an end. You know what you're doing. It's a commitment on both parts, so everybody's invested on the same side. And the most beautiful thing about it is because of our sponsors, and I can't thank them enough, it's free. I've been a part of several mentoring programs with other organizations before, and what we offer, it is insane that this is free because most places will charge anywhere from $500 on up just for you to have that investment. And I love what we do, and getting to be a part of an organization that does support people is encouraging. Finding a mentor and a mentee where they're supporting each other is awesome. And we also teach in a culture where some people will say, well, women pit women against each other. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. If you find the right people, you're going to see where women shine a light on each other and help each other up. And like what your mentor had said, on your way up, take as many people with you as you can and encourage people all around you. um, and the other thing about mentoring and finding a mentor, look around and see someone, like what she was saying, that is really doing well and they love people. Just stop and ask them, say, hey, can I pick your brain? They may not be the ideal mentor, they may not have time, but they're going to know someone because they're very connected. So,
Can I also add, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Tambra Clark. I'm a technology integration facilitator for Birmingham City Schools, but I'm also the board chair for for Birmingham Women in Technology, K-12 outreach. But guess how I found this organization? Through mentorship. So I got matched. I filled out an application on Momentum, and I was matched. Darla matched me. She interviewed me, asked me what my goal was, what I wanted in a mentor, and I was matched with one of the board members at Birmingham Women in Technology. So that relationship flourished. And was my end goal to become a board chair myself? No, but my mentor saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So, but here I am, and it's been a great ride, a great experience thus far. So your mentors can see something in you that you may not even see in yourself, and you never know what opportunities may open up for you.
absolutely. And having a good mentor, let me just say that this way too. So having a good mentor is going to lead you to finding the sponsors that we were talking about that are going to. Your mentor is going to be they're going to be talking about you behind your back in a good way and sharing with other people what all you have done. Is there any other questions? Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, it is. Very much so. In fact, we have what's called Men with Momentum, and we do encourage that. And we've had a few men coming in through technology. We need more men leaders. We would very much appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. The reason why we thought this through at Momentum, and the reason why I'm sharing this is, and y'all can attest to this, what you need to be looking for, is there a beginning and an end date in a mentorship? One thing that we ask everybody to commit to on both sides is you save that time on that calendar. That's going to be a good indicator right there. And ours is a 6-month commitment, and I encourage them at y'all's first meeting, get your calendars out and save that date for the next 6 months. Don't do it 1 month at a time because it will not happen. As you said, life happens. That's a good indicator right there if somebody's really serious, if they show up. And if they stop showing up, very kindly just say, thank you for your time and what you did show me, and find someone else. And as far as a mentee, being specific is so important. And that's what another thing that I coach. Don't come in and say, hey, I want help. Okay, and what? And I love what you said on that. Be very specific and set some really measurable goals and things that you see, okay, I'm hitting this benchmark. Staying in touch with each other, keeping the conversation going. Don't let it lag. Staying relevant on what's going on around you that's going to help them. As a mentor, be aware of their surroundings too and how you can help them navigate things that quite honestly, it just like face planted you, and just to give them some warnings. Hey, don't fall for that. Don't do that. It's going to really help. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
For me, honesty. Tell me, your true goals, what it is that you're truly interested in, and let's walk through how we're going to get there. Also, time commitment. What does that time look like? How long are we going to spend time together, following up if needed? And then, like I said, for me, big on my list is honesty.
I'm going to say you've got to be willing to work and show up. That comes along with the honesty.
Absolutely.
But I had a situation where I had a mentee, and we met our couple of times, and then she quit responding. I emailed and called probably 4 or 5 times, and finally got the response. Oh, well, I got a new role and I've been too busy, so I'll let you know when I'm ready. So you have to, if you commit to something, having that commitment and willingness is really important. Be willing to stick it out, show up. If you're not getting what you need, is having that conversation, which can be hard, but that's really what is required, that level of vulnerability and honesty.
I'm just going to reiterate that because that is, I think mentees, we tend to forget the amount of work that's needed in the relationship, that I'm just getting things from the mentor and there's really not anything that I'm supposed to be doing while this relationship is happening. And I think that it's actually more work on the mentee side, because knowing what it is that you want those goals to be, how you're showing up, and if that can even be a place for you to practice showing up, right? If you know you don't do that well, or that's an area that you can improve in, do that in a place that's allowing true honesty, vulnerability, candidness, because that's a perfect, safe place to practice that in too.
It's really good. Did I say hand over
Very
here?
well stated.
Yes, sir. I think from what I've seen in our mentors who are C-suite level, that if you will approach them and like we were saying, show up, be prepared, do the work that they ask you to do, and then respond and let them know, hey, thanks for showing me this. This is what I've done. And thank you. That did help me. Can we try this for one other time because I'm still struggling in this one area, or I have more questions in this? And let them know along the way you appreciate them, you're showing up, like you said, and don't be afraid because I have, I mean, I have never met a leader that didn't want to help someone else. A good leader will say, hey, yeah, be glad to. And then when you set the time, you show up as a mentee, be prepared and do the work that they're going to be watching you, especially if you're in their company. They're going to be watching, hey, did they take my advice? Did they do what I suggested? Did they go meet who I said? That's what I have seen that has worked with the situations that I have seen. What else?
Yeah, my most recent full-time job before going on my own, I was chief information security officer for an organization. So my mentees have to also understand that sometimes crap happens, like life happens, and being flexible to go, hey, please don't be offended. I have to go deal with a major security incident. Can we reschedule? That's the flip side of it. But I do have the expectation that if you'll be flexible with me, I'll be flexible with you, but come prepared. And the whole thing where I said about make it easy for me to help you by knowing what you want is one of the biggest pieces of advice I give. Because if you come in with vague questions and asks, it's
Mhm.
hard for us to be able to help, and we do want to help.
One thing that I have had to make sure everyone understands as a mentee, a mentor is not there to get you a job. They're not
Accurate.
your yeah, and they're not your therapist. Okay. So come prepared with facts, come prepared with what you really wanted from them and what you need. And if you are looking for a job, ask them, say, hey, how can I be prepared for this? Help me to be, prepared of how to answer questions. How do I need to dress? How do I need to approach this? How do I need to say thank you? How do I know when this isn't a good company? And I notice that. How do I back out gracefully if they do offer me the job? Those have happened before. Anything else? All right. Oh, we don't have, what's our next? What, we, what's the next one? 'Cause it's not, is it not clicking?
That's the
Nope.
it's the quote.
Oh, that's about BWIT. Yes, we want to
Okay.
go back
Well,
to that
I'll talk about BWIT right quick.
one.
If I can go to the next slide.
There we go.
If you have not heard of the wonderful organization, Birmingham Women in Technology, it is a fantastic organization where us women get together and who's just love technology. It's a wonderful group. So we're always hosting different events. As I said, I'm the board chair for K-12 outreach. So we've had a hackathon. We show up at different schools and host tables to let them know, hey, you can do it too, for the girls and of course the boys too. But it's a wonderful organization. So you just can go to our website, Birmingham Women in Technology, and we're an affinity group under Tech Birmingham. So if you go to Tech Birmingham website, you will see us and different events that we host on the calendar.
I'm glad you brought that up. So a couple of years ago, Ron, who is over the Birmingham Women in Technology, she approached us and said, we want to have a mentoring program. Y'all already got it going. Let's just work together. So we do have a good collaboration with the Birmingham Women in Technology.
And she was my mentor.
Yes,
So that
she
is how I ended up on stage.
I believe, are there any other questions? I think that's, if I did want to share one other thing with you. For Momentum Leaders, if you're interested, men and women, we're having a mentoring mixer Tuesday night, June 30th, at our new office that's in Next Tech building on Third Avenue. Am I saying that? Are we on Second or Third Avenue?
Yeah,
North.
3rd Avenue North.
Thank
Third
you, because
Avenue
we
North.
just moved there.
Yes. Wonderful
But
facility.
it's a free event if you want to come and learn more about our mentoring program. And if you would like to, if you don't have time to do that, please scan the QR code and reach out to me. I'd be happy to share any more information about mentoring. And thank you for giving us a chance to share with you what mentoring has done for us. I have watched all these women do incredible job of lifting up other people, and I am honored to get to share the stage with them because they're also super, super intelligent, and I've loved being up here. Thank you so much.